Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, and this is my 8-year Channelversary video. It's kinda nuts that I've been doing this thing for 8 years, but it's been fun to do it. Granted, sometimes maddening and insane with what we do with our reviews, but also there's a lot of good, awesome, positive things to kind of go through as well. So, we've gotten over 200 subscribers, and that's pretty awesome. I don't care that much about that, because normally to grow pretty big you have to do stuff for the algorithm and everything, and I kind of like just doing things with like discussions that are interesting or like pertinent to certain kind of things like digital rights with video games, movies, shows, all that kind of stuff. Also with like it also can pertain to digital comics and everything as well. But I don't want this to become a giant kind of like everything kind of catch-all kind of channel. I just like to stick to the kind of reviews, perspectives, and have discussions about these kind of things. So I like that we've got that kind of mix, and of course we've kind of changed up with our updates of how I kind of do my movie reviews, my TV show reviews, and all that. I am interested in seeing where the MCU goes, but I'm now just going to be waiting for them to pretty much come out on 4K and watch them that way. That worked for the Marvels shows. They really need to retool what's kind of going on with the shows. I hope that they're able to make them better, and the main kind of issue with them is they're pretty much like chopped up movies, and it really fucks with the pacing of what kind of goes on. It's like, what the shit is going on here? So I'll kind of have to see with that. I'm still into the MCU and like everything with Marvel and all that, but hopefully they kind of get back on track with their quality and kind of fitting of what's kind of going on. Now granted, I'm used to this kind of influx kind of thing with Marvel because of comic books and everything. Everything's kind of messy within the comic books as well, but sometimes you wait and you get like a new creative team that's got really good artwork or really good writing or combining those two, and sometimes you get a new creative team that you just don't jive with. So we're now kind of seeing that kind of growing pains kind of going through with the MCU as well. It's like, okay, we had all these characters, we had all these people working with them, like the Russos and the Cap stuff and everything going on with the Avengers, and now we kind of have to see what goes on with the end of Phase 4, Phase 5, and Phase 6 of what's kind of going on. So, even though I like it, I will call it out on stuff and be like, oh god, I didn't really like this. This really wasn't for me. But if it is for you, that's cool. That's always what I try and do with this channel. And I know I've probably said a little bit more in my reviews recently, but I do want to make sure that I'm not trying to be a definitive kind of figure on any kind of thing, like an arbiter of objective. This fucking sucks, this is fucking awesome. There can be certain kind of things like, yes, this did a thing, but you can like it and I might not like it, or I can like it and you might not like it. I want to make sure that I'm not being like saying that there's anything wrong with that. That's always, I just want to usually make that clear in my reviews. So, MCU, we're doing that. DCU, we'll have to see what goes on with James Gunn's kind of stuff. Granted, I would still wait for physical media for that, or certain kind of streaming stuff, because we've got like the cable package with like HBO or Max, whatever the fuck it's going to be called in any kind of future fucking update. And that's another kind of thing. Even though I do have certain kind of streaming services, I'm going to kind of trying to balance what's kind of going on with watching certain kind of ones and getting more kind of physical media and everything to kind of watch it that way. Because I just like supporting physical media and having kind of better control of that. So, if you do have any suggestions of anything to kind of watch on a streaming service, I usually mainly stick with Netflix and Disney Plus that we've got, and then Max. Those are the main kind of streaming ones that I have access to at this moment. I would look into any kind of other stuff that I might get like physically or whatnot, because who knows what's going on with Crunchyroll and everything at this moment in time. It's like, rah, going nutty. But I am interested in looking into that kind of stuff as well. I do have some other kind of shows. I got more One Piece to go through because I was able to get a good chunk of that. I am planning on going through some other kind of anime that I've got. I've got Avatar: The Last Airbender and The Legend of Korra recently. I want to revisit those because I haven't reviewed them on the channel, but I have watched them. And granted, I am going to be doing a review of Avatar: The Last Airbender from Netflix. So it would be nice to kind of have a contrast with them. In regards to, let's see, comic books, those are still going to be kind of the main focus. Well, I do kind of like the balance, but the comic books, since they come out weekly, it's nice to have the kind of discussions and see what's kind of going on, and I've been liking what they've been doing so far in the comics. I've been having a real blast with them, so it's always fun to kind of see what's kind of going on with them. However, the biggest kind of issue with Marvel at the moment is they've loaded all the ones that I usually go after. I've got like 4 that will pop out in a week, and then there's like chunks of nothing. So, yeah, that kind of throws off. I would really kind of like it of like 1 a week, maybe 2 a week, but 4 a week kind of throws off and everything. So if I go without a Monday, without any because of the comic books, that's mainly because Marvel's like, hey, here's 5 fucking ones in 1 week. It's like, yes, I've been liking these, but can you space them out, please? So that way I could just, like, dive a little bit deeper into certain issues sometimes. Though, granted, I do still can still do as deep as I kind of want and then see where the kind of discussions go. Let's see. TV shows, everything's kind of gone kind of nutty-doo-dah, so it's mainly them being pretty much put into streaming for most parts. There's not a lot of stuff coming out on regular TV that is pretty much grabbing. Though Shogun started recently, however, since that premiered with 2 episodes, they were kind of longer and beefy episodes. I've got this rule now that if a show premieres with 2 or more episodes, I wait until the full season is done and then do a review of it, because then I either have to try and do the juggling act of, do I make 1 review for both episodes and condense everything? Or do I then have to do watch 1 episode, do a review of it, so that way I don't get a bleed over effect on the next episode, and then watch that next episode and then do it like that. It's like, it just kind of is easier for me to then go and do the full season at once. Where this would kind of be changed up is what we do in the shadows, because usually that isn't like 2-hour-long episodes, or give or take like 45 minutes. That is usually 2 30-minute episodes done together in kind of one, so I usually balance those out a little bit better than trying to crack in those in one kind of review. And we are going to be having the final season of What We Do in the Shadows, though we don't know exactly... I don't know exactly when it's going to be popping off, but it's popping off this year, and that's it for main TV ones. Everything else, I'm waiting for any kind of Mando stuff, but I think that's going to be a movie next. I might look into like some old Marvel ones at certain kind of points, but I've also been watching animes on Toonami, that those will be kind of like finishing up at certain kind of points. Ninja Kamui just recently premiered. That is an actual one that Toonami was involved with. I've really been enjoying that so far, and I can't wait to see where that kind of goes. And Licorice Recoil, they're doing Demon Slayer as well. So those are kind of what I've got in the pipeline. In regards to video games, I'm still going to be doing my perspectives. I'm actually running through certain kind of ones on Xbox at the moment, and if you've been seeing my channel, the thing is, I recently have decided to switch more to PC gaming, so there will be a kind of lag delay, because I have gotten some Xbox games as gifts from like last year, before I started doing the push of like, I'm now going to be pretty much rebuilding my gaming library of pretty much mainly Xbox, but also there's certain kind of PlayStation ones on Steam, and then doing more primarily PC gaming, because it's where you're going to get most of the games at this point, because of how Microsoft does their stuff and how Sony is also doing their stuff with porting over certain kind of first-party titles as well. So it just kind of makes the most sense. I'll still be able to do like keyboard and mouse, but also controller and everything, and kind of see where that kind of goes. And yeah, so it won't really change up much, but it'll change up like any kind of props or whatnot that I've got for certain kind of games, especially since most stuff is doing digital, and we'll have to see how that kind of works out. I'm more one that I like to physically collect certain things, but we're going to probably have a kind of flux state, hopefully, where we eventually then do get digital rights, better digital rights for our digital content at some point, because it's just going to get to a point where it's going to be like, it's going to affect bigger kind of players as well. I mean, sure, it'll screw us over in games and movies and TV shows, but once you start getting even more into like the cloud enterprise licenses and other kind of stuff where you actually don't have like the software, I think once you get like bigger places being like, we need the actual thing, can we please have it? We'll have to see how that kind of goes. But I am looking forward to seeing kind of what other kind of games I get into on the PC kind of front. Maybe focusing more on certain kind of smaller titles or indie titles. Not just for the sake of it, it's just the game design mill that like the AAA and the usual big kind of games have become lately just usually don't jive with me. They just rub me the wrong way on how their game design pretty much runs. It's been kind of an issue for mainly multiplayer games for me as well, because it went from being the fun kind of stuff where you could just fuck around with people to you got battle passes, you got to do all this kind of stuff, you got to spend money to actually get the kind of cosmetics that look kind of cool. It just kind of was not really. And also, the main kind of thing is those game design kind of choices with multiplayer have like mucked with me to the point where it's like, okay, this isn't fun for me. I'm not having fun playing, and that's usually why I've done more stuff with single player games over the years rather than multiplayer games. So we'll kind of see what I'm able to kind of open up with on PC and what kind of trials and tribulations will go on with that. But I do know that PC gaming has become better since I kind of cut my teeth with it when I was like a lot younger and we were mucking around with it as a family. We would play, I originally started playing like GTA, certain Star Wars games, and like Half-Life 2 on PC. And I'm like, oh, okay. But then I gravitated more towards consoles. Well, we also had like a Sega Genesis, got into that. PlayStation 2, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, then eventually getting Xbox in the mix, GameCube, Wii, 360. I really wasn't that invested with the PlayStation 3 era, then eventually going to Xbox One, getting a PlayStation 4 eventually, and then Series X and PlayStation 5. Though granted, with everything going on, I would not be surprised if Xbox and Sony eventually at a certain kind of point just decide to become publishers and go mainly on publishing on PCs, while other kind of PC makers make small gaming-focused, compact PCs, where it's essentially a console, but the console makers don't make them anymore. They just make the games, and we'll kind of have to see if that's where they kind of work it out to. Because it does make sense for them to go all digital and make those kind of consoles, but I think they could eventually go a step further and be just like, why don't we just publish this shit and then just get our charge rate or whatnot and see what kind of goes from there with other people being in charge of the hardware. It's a potential place for it to go. I would rather prefer a dedicated machine to gaming. I mean, granted, that's usually what I've been used to gaming for my whole career up until this point. But we'll have to see. Because I would have been fine with having a disparity between physical being more expensive, but I'm paying for that, and digital being cheaper. That, however, has not been borne out into the fact. It's actually some flipped the other way, and that's, of course, why you probably start seeing physical going away because of everybody getting it cheaper or whatnot, and digital just staying high up. So that's just kind of going into those kind of weird kind of things. But yeah, we've had good views on videos, some interesting kind of views on videos as well, where it's just like, huh, I didn't think that would do as well, or oh, I thought that would have done better. But it's the roller coaster. I'm fine with how this channel has been going, because I'm achieving my objective of making the content that I want and talking to people about it and getting various different kind of viewpoints and seeing how that kind of works out and talking about the things that I like or don't like. And I I don't want this to be a channel where I shit on things. That's never my objective. And I really like talking about a lot of stuff that is awesome and positive about certain kind of things. That's The Brother's Son really was good, and I liked talking about that. And the Super Mario Brothers movie, that was really good. I love that I was able to kind of like have that 1-2 punch where it's like, yes, this is what I like talking about. This is what I like having fun with. And I just like having those kind of discussions with people. And even if like a video only gets 1 view, I'm fine with that. If it makes someone's day a little bit better, that's my objective. And if my viewpoint makes someone's day worse, I'm sorry about that, because that's not my objective. I don't want to make people feel bad about the things that they like. And that's never my intention when I talk about something. If I'm exasperated or frustrated about something, and if somebody has made something and I don't like it, I won't hate you for it. And my intent is not to make you feel bad about it. If it's not for me, it's not for me. And if I've got some things that could help, cool. If that advice doesn't pertain or whatnot, I'm fine with it being ignored. It's just, we see what kind of goes on, and that's why I like how this channel's been going, and what my objectives are going forward, too. Continue mainly focusing on the comic books, because those come out weekly, and they've been doing some really good stuff with Marvel for me. Of course, looking at the MCU and seeing where that's kind of going, seeing what kind of movies pop up on streaming or any kind of like physical or whatnot, or even on the movie channels that I have access to, and reviewing them with however kind of insanity happens with them. Same with TV shows and everything, just popping about, and I don't mind suggestions. Same with games as well. Games just take longer. That's why they're kind of more on the kind of 4th tier back end, depending upon what kind of goes on. That, of course, goes into game design as well, depending upon if it's length for good content or length because of weird bloat. And just, it takes like 60 minutes for me to walk from one edge of a map to another and then walk back again for a fetch quest. Granted, that's just a hyperbolic example, not something I've actually had to deal with. But yeah, we'll see what goes on, what kind of new crazy things, and I'd just like to talk to people about it. So I want to thank you guys for 8 years and putting up with my weird, strange ass talking about weird, strange things, and talk to me in the comments in this or any kind of specific video. What you're liking, what you're not liking, any suggestions, both for the channel and anything to kind of look at and review, and like and subscribe, and I hope you guys have a good day.